Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has led a high-level security meeting as the US applies pressure to reach a deal in Gaza and secure the release of the captives. Meanwhile, an Israeli court has postponed Netanyahu's scheduled testimony in his long-running corruption trial. His hearings were put off for the next 2 weeks after the head of Mossad and the IDF intelligence chief cited national security concerns. Just hours earlier, US President Donald Trump called for the case against Netanyahu to be dropped. Right, well, let's speak to Hamdah Salhut, who's live for us in Jordan's capital, Amman, and she's there because the Israeli government has banned Al Jazeera from reporting inside of Israel and the occupied territories. Hamdah, this high-level meeting, cabinet meeting, what was on the agenda and did anything come out of it at all?
Well, the main agenda item here was the war on Gaza and if there could be a ceasefire that was reached. However, according to Israeli media and the Prime Minister himself, there was nothing concrete that came out of this meeting. It was pretty high level. It happened at the military Southern Command Base in Beersheba. It's in the southern part of the country. And Netanyahu had his top security chiefs with him, talking about a wide variety of things when it comes to the war on Gaza. Now, military sources have said that they are close to wrapping up their ground operation in Gaza, meaning that there are no more strategic gains for them to be met, and that anything further that they do on the ground could endanger the 50 captives that are still being held in the Palestinian territory. But Netanyahu himself has said just last night that he believes both things can be achieved: defeating Hamas and also the idea of releasing the captives through military means. However, there are main sticking points when it comes to any possibility of a ceasefire. Mediators keep pushing the Israelis to send a delegation to either Cairo or Doha, but the Israelis want a temporary pause in the fighting, one that could guarantee a return to war after that 60 days, and Hamas wants a complete end to the war. This is nothing new. This has been the case for months, and it's still the main point of disagreement between the two sides.
Hamdah, Netanyahu's corruption trial, as we were saying earlier, they're postponed. But under what pretext?
Well, there was another meeting that was held behind closed doors. It involved the Israeli premier, of course, the heads of the Shin Bet, the Mossad. These are the internal and external security agencies, and other sort of diplomats and security chiefs within Netanyahu's government, because they made the case that there are potential talks for diplomacy and talks for ending the war, saying that Netanyahu needs this week in order to solidify those things. Within Israeli media, it's being widely reported that there are talks going on with Syria, saying that that's one of the potential things Netanyahu wants to work on this week. The Israelis had already previously confirmed that they were in direct talks with them, potentially to have some sort of diplomatic ties. But of course, nothing's been confirmed just yet on that aspect. But Netanyahu said that he has a lot of different things to do, which is why he needed this trial to be postponed. And look, it came just hours after the American president, Donald Trump, called it a political witch hunt, saying that Netanyahu shouldn't even have to stand trial. Netanyahu, for the last 5 years, has been trying to delay this trial until ultimately the court decided that during the war he was going to stand trial. And there have been a lot of cases where there have been recesses in the trial, or they have postponed it because of different wars and things that are going on within the prime minister and the country. However, the court has said that they will allow him this 1 week recess, denying him the 2 weeks that he initially asked for.
OK, thank you very much for that update on everything that's happening in Israel. Hamdah Salhut there. Let's go to Tel Aviv, where Gideon Levy is a columnist for Haaretz, an Israeli news publication based in Tel Aviv. Thank you very much, Mr. Levy, for your time. I'll go back to the Netanyahu trial in a moment. But first of all, what are your thoughts when you see Israel's latest heavy bombing of northern Gaza overnight, as we've seen? These are very densely populated areas targeting displaced people, especially in tents, health facilities, as we heard there, hit. Now, the list goes on, and all of that despite pressure on Israel to secure a ceasefire.
Yeah, I'm quite speechless. I'm not surprised, obviously, but really, in this stage, if anyone had any kind of doubt if you can define it as a genocide or not, when you see those daily mass killings without any purpose, except of the killing itself, then you really, all the doubts are gone. If this goes on, we have to declare this war as a genocidal war and Israel as a genocidal country. No other way to describe it. If Israel continues to shoot those starving people in the aid stations, dozens a day for many days now, it's not one incident, dozens a day. Haaretz published an investigation 2 days ago proving that the soldiers are getting commands to kill, to shoot, in order to kill in this mass of people who are waiting for some kind of aid. So, the words end here.
It's a very tough time, of course, when we see this. And yet, if anyone says the word genocide, they are often accused of being anti-Semitic. But I just want to go to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu once again. He's had his testimony in his long-run corruption trial postponed. The court saying that the Prime Minister doesn't have time because of national security issues. How is a decision like that likely to be received in Israel as this gets postponed once again?
Like anything else, Israel is divided for two main camps, or two sects, I would even say. One sect adores Netanyahu and will praise him for anything he does and will always believe that he's innocent and just a victim of the system. And the other camp, which thinks that Netanyahu is a Satan and he deserves everything. But what is very, very outstanding in all this story is obviously the unbelievable and unprecedented involvement of Donald Trump in the recent days. He really recruited himself, or Netanyahu recruited him, to help to make the trial cancelled. And this is really unprecedented, and there's no other explanation but to be astonished that the President of the United States dares to interfere in a legal procedure in another country. This we never saw before.
It's interesting you say that, because that's actually, that was noted by the Israeli opposition leader Yair Lapid last week, where he said that Trump should not interfere in a judicial trial in an independent country. But do you think the court's decision came after Donald Trump saying that the case should be thrown out? Do you think this is being seen as an endorsement to Netanyahu, and how much is it likely to help Netanyahu himself with trying to stay in power as well?
I think that there are so many factors who are mixing and boiling and intervening in this trial that long time ago it stopped to be a trial and it became a whole mess with so many elements in it. It has nothing to do anymore with justice or with law, by the way. This trial became a joke, a circus. Netanyahu does there whatever he wants. He is a prime minister there, not someone who stands to a trial, but a prime minister. The judges are extremely weak vis-a-vis the prime minister. And after the war in Iran, even more so, because there are so many who think that Netanyahu was revealed as a hero in this war, and everyone thinks that now he deserves everything. So one camp will now do anything possible to cancel this trial. And if you ask me, finally they will find a way, the most bizarre way, but this trial will never end.
Right. But I just want to cover, obviously, as this trial is ongoing, looking at Israel's standing on this ceasefire deal right now, because not much seems to have come out of this top-level cabinet meeting from overnight. No indication of a breakthrough, and that's despite Trump's push for a deal, of course, the mediators and Hamas wanting an end to the war.
Yeah, and Netanyahu does not want an end to the war unless it will also mean the end of his trial. We reach this level in which the trial is connected to a ceasefire in Gaza. The suffer of 2.3 million people in Gaza depends now, among other things, also in ending the trial of Netanyahu. As surreal as it sounds, that's reality right now. Now, he will not end the war unless Donald Trump either will promise him one way or the other the ending of his trial, or Donald Trump will put pressure on Netanyahu like he did with Iran. But Donald Trump doesn't seem to use the leverage that he has in his hands, because he could bring the end of the war in Gaza a long time ago within days. One phone call from Donald Trump and the war in Gaza is over. But this phone call never reached.
Right. Thank you very much for speaking with us and giving us your thoughts there, Mr. Gideon Levy from Haaretz, the Israeli news publication.
Thank you.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.